back to the To Keep It a Buck podcast. I'm Van.
I'm Awa.
It's Sahra.
And Jiggy.
And today we're going to be talking about a couple submissions that you guys sent in and giving advice. It also was our 1-year anniversary last month. So we wanted to start out the video kind of just talking about the year that we've had. Does anyone want to start?
It's been really cool. This feels like a really safe space to just like talk and be myself. So thank you for welcoming me on. And proud to see you guys like grow from the beginning. And I just wanted to start because I don't have that much to say.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's been a year. This has been a really big like growing journey for, I feel like, all of us. It's been really nice to get to know y'all and spend time with y'all. Yeah, I don't know. It was hard though. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's been hard. Trying to like do the podcast and like life and stuff, and like trying to figure out like what's our thing and like how we're gonna do it and be ourselves and be authentic. But it's been fun because it challenges us. But you know, it's been hard, but it's been a lot of fun. I really liked getting to know community members throughout this whole thing. Like when we started doing like street interviews, that was a lot of fun. And trying to find our space. Yeah. We always got a new space every time we record, but we are getting stable. This is cute. I like it.
I like this. Yeah, I think this has to be like the
Me too.
space.
Mm-hmm.
She said excitedly.
It's been has it been a year? It feels like 2 freaking years. Are y'all sure it's been a year?
Maybe a million years.
February 2020 is when we started. Or 2021? Yeah, 2021. Yeah.
It was our first
Oh, true.
post.
It just felt like that because summer kind of leaned into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been hard. It's been tough. It's been okay for me. Actually, the best way I can describe the podcast over the past year has been it's been.
How has it been?
It's been. I'm just kidding. I think it's reflective of our personal lives, which I feel like is undeniable when you are doing stuff or working stuff. That's like optionary, I guess, or is an option. Like in your regular job, you kind of bootstrap yourself down because you know, like, oh, I'm gonna lose my job if I don't show up. But like something that we're not being forced to do. Obviously, when we're going through stuff, you're allowed to take space, and I don't know, you're allowed to just like be human, you know. So I feel like the podcast over the year has been mirroring our personal lives, but it's been a growing experience, learning a lot. I think this is our first time, all of us doing a podcast for the first time. So it's been really cool, and I'm excited to always just push and podcast.
For me, I feel like this has been a very different experience for myself because I don't think that I guess express myself very creatively, like outwardly. So this was kind of the first outlet that I had to put something that I really like to do, which is talk out into the open. But yeah, I want to. Just gonna piggyback off what you were saying. I feel like it definitely is a reflection of like you have to choose to want to be here and like choose to want to do the podcast, and you know, especially with everyone's own personal lives and schedules. But I think it's been a blast and definitely a challenge. Very challenging to figure out where to start from like the ground up because it's so new for all of us. My lashes are trying to jump off my eyelid right now. But yeah, very enjoyable nonetheless. And I'm really excited that now we have a space that we can really, ¿cómo se dice thrive in?
¿Cómo se dice thrive?
Thrive. And
Thriving.
Just keep going. Yeah, I like you guys. I think so.
I think so.
It's a joke. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Perhaps.
Enjoyable,
See, this
but
is my
challenging.
defensiveness
Enjoyable but
to
challenging.
coming out.
Enjoyable but challenging.
It's a growing experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Life comes with lessons to be learned.
You trying to make lemonade on the line?
Limeade.
Boom.
Yo, limeade is really good.
I love limeade versus
Some limeade, mush some raspberries on there, put some ice, shake it up, add whatever you want.
Are you guys ready?
Fire.
for
Summer's
our first
coming up,
edition?
y'all.
Yes. Do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So we wanted to engage basically with our audience in a different way, and kind of got some inspiration from, I don't know, things that like we've seen online of people taking submissions and giving advice and talking about whatever it is that other people have going on and need some input on. So we opened up a Google form for people to fill out, and the first question was, what's going on? What's the tea? Like, what's the situation? And it was completely anonymous. People were able to include their @names or their name, whatever, if they wanted to. But otherwise, it's anonymous. You guys put whatever you wanted into in here. I've read over all the questions. All Sahra and Jiggy and Momo behind the scenes I don't think that they've read over everything. So it is going to be a little bit of a surprise when I say the scenario. But yeah, we just wanted to just connect with you guys in a different way. Like let's talk about you. You know what I mean? I'm very excited to read these off. There is some interesting stuff. What was the last thing I was going to say? Oh, disclaimer. We're not therapists. We just some niggas, some silly niggas. No tea Korean.
Listen.
But yeah.
Not.
Anyone else have a disclaimer that comes to mind?
Disclaimer: you sent these in, so if you don't like the answer, I didn't tell you. You sent it in. Don't be trying to fight me, okay? Also, this right now is to keep it a buck. So if you have a response to the response, you go to keep it a buck. You don't go to the personal okay?
Period.
That's a disclaimer.
It's also dinner with the homies.
Oh my God, yes.
So we all got food to give advice and, just munch. So
Very relaxed setting.
A disclaimer I was thinking about that I say all the time is if you feel uncomfortable, that might be you're growing. You're thinking about topics that you may or may not have ever really thought about in depth, and you may feel things while listening or eating, and that's okay. Your feelings can come and go. As well as I'm going to be speaking from my own personal experience. I'm not speaking for anybody but myself. So that's my own disclaimer. And conversations are to be had continuously. It's not just like a one and done thing. So like what I was said, you got a respond to keep it a buck. Because we're going to keep it a buck. We're going to talk it out.
Also, disclaimer: trigger warnings will be used, but if not, obviously, listen with your own discretion.
disclaimer.
You on YouTube? You should be 18 plus.
Disclaimer: I'm a Sagittarius. I'm gonna be very blunt. That's all.
I'm a Pisces, Aries, cusp, but I'm also pessimistic.
Really
I'm a Virgo, Sagittarius, moon and rising. Someone told me you shouldn't say that. I was like, whatever. I have my own beliefs. Cool.
So, I'm a Taurus, if anyone was wondering. Just throw that in there. Okay, so I think we can start out a little bit lighter. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So the first, right? Yeah. Okay, so the first scenario is, so I have this coworker who on a base level I just don't get along with, which is fine. You don't have to like everyone and not everyone has to like you. The issue is she makes passive-aggressive comments consistently, which one, I don't know how to respond to. And two, it gets on my nerves. By the end of the day, I end up snapping on her, which I feel bad about, but also I know it isn't the right way to handle things. She also talks all day about absolutely nothing and follows me around to just be in my personal bubble, and I don't know how to nicely tell her to shut the fuck up and get out of my space. How do I respond to passive-aggressive comments, and what's the nicest way to tell someone I don't care about their daughter's imaginary puppy that they tell me about every day? Oh. Does anyone want to lead?
I really felt the last part because truly, shut up. I don't care about your life. Dang. Darn. I like to ignore people, truly. I like to act like people don't exist. Not that they're dead, but imagine a very lively ghost. So my advice would be you have a couple options. Either tell them to shut the fuck up and you don't want to be friends with them and they talk too much and they're rude, and just be very blunt and be like, yo, like, stop what you're doing. Like, you're always rude to me. You're hella passive aggressive. You're always talking to me. Like, we work together. We're not friends. It doesn't say in our contract at work that we have to be friends. Like, yo, just, we're at work. I'm doing work things. We don't need to socialize. Or just act like they're dead and just simply ignore them. Learn to tune them out. Yeah, they're dead to you. Have a funeral if you need to. And then with I'm being so serious. I'm really good at just like mourn them today. R.I.P. to your coworker. And they're imaginary. They're already seeing imaginary things, so maybe they need to go with them. But since the fact that like you obviously are just like being as nice as you possibly can to them, but then obviously it all adds up, and then you're what's it called? Lashing out at the end of the day. I think it's really important for you to like really just decide like what's more important, you being cordial and kind with this person, or you being able to go through your whole day and not have to like keep consuming energy from this person and then lashing out, which I would assume you probably don't even enjoy, like having to like cuss somebody out at the end of the day, you know, when you're just trying to be cordial. So you just have to, hey, keep it a buck and host the funeral.
Yeah, on the part of you don't know how to respond to passive-aggressive comments, I feel like passive-aggressiveness, it's like kryptonite is being direct. So if your coworker keeps making really like shitty or snarky or bitchy passive-aggressive comments, you have to nip them in the butt like right when they say them. So hopefully they can be less comfortable with being like super passive-aggressive. And like negative. Also, I think that it may help to just have a conversation. Really just directness is like the end all like point that I'm trying to make. And kind of just say, you know, the job is a job, and a friendship or like a openness or like, you know, communication about non-work related things isn't really something that I'm interested in. I would really appreciate if that's something that you could respect, you know, and yeah, kind of just leave it there. I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand with boundary setting, which is difficult. And we do, spoiler, have a question about that also later in the episode. So yeah, really just being direct, because when you're not, there's so much left up in the air, and then you're expecting other people to fill in the dots for you. Or you have to fill in the dots for you know what the fuck I'm trying to say. But yeah, directness hopefully will kill the passive-aggressive comments. That's my 2 cents.
Another thing is you could go to your boss and lie and make their passive-aggressive comments sound really aggressive, and then just, you know, get them fired. Hey, man, you gotta
could go on their Facebook and find really old bogus posts and send it to their job and get them fired. You should pray on their downfall. Because why? I don't give a fuck about your kid.
Fuck your kid.
Period.
Just kidding. The kid didn't do anything. The kid don't deserve it.
We support kids. All kids.
Can I take the mic? Slide this over here. Yeah, personally, I really like direct conversation, especially face to face, because I think the ways that we've been brought to communicate, like on, I don't know, like I've had a phone for a really long time, and that wasn't out of like, I got a phone to flex, but like my single father worrying about literally where I was all the time. And like growing up, like just texting people, or were you guys on Gmail chat? I was Gmail chatting it up, okay? AOL, whatever.
I remember AOL.
Yes. And just like growing up in the Tumblr era. No. No, but for real, like I used to put like diary entries in Tumblr, and I'm like, yo, if I ever have a PR team, there's some middle school sad shit out there. And I've been trying to delete it. Please don't find it. And if you do, send me a link so I can delete it forever. Thank you so much. Whoever's on the deep, dark web and can find this and just delete it. Thank you. But anyway, I really like face-to-face conversation because you're able to like take into people's body language. If you're able to look at it, you're able to, for me, like I like to check in with my body when I'm having a conversation. So like if I already feel like my anxiety is boiling up, I've been learning through therapy of just like my own techniques of calming myself down and then being able to come back to the conversation when I'm ready. And like working on boundaries is really hard, especially as someone who has never been taught that. And I've been teaching myself this through books since middle school, but it's really nice to talk to a therapist where when I'm talking, she'll be like, wait, hold up here. Yeah, this goes back to the boundaries thing that we talked about the first time, and I'm like, God damn it, you're right. Like, I love that I have a therapist that like calls me out that way, and I'm able to see my own growth versus in a lot of other experiences I would just talk, and then the end of the session came, and then I didn't leave with any helpful advice to actually help me for that week or the next week. Because, personally, I'm on a daily and like weekly therapy thing. So, it's like a sense, like a building sense of accountability and time management, and then like learning boundaries is important in any space you go to, whether it be work, friendship, acquaintances, people you're just passing by, people on the street that might just come up at you. Like, everybody has different boundaries and are different parts of learning their own boundaries. And I think that, you know, it's a growing learning process. And if you know where you're at, that's really cool. And if you don't know where you're at, like there is definitely resources out there. And if, you know, you ever want to know some resources, you know, I don't know, email us. You know, we're here to assist and as we can. Again, we're not therapists, okay? We're not therapists. But that's my thought on that situation there. I think like a lot of things boil down to your boundaries, knowing your own body, your feelings, and knowing how to handle your own situations. And that's different for every single body. So like being able to meet the other person where they're also at. Yeah.
Fuck that person. That's all you was gonna say? All right. I was gonna close it up on that question.
I was going to say, when you brought up direct communication, though I agree, I've also heard, or I just know from experience, like people, not everyone, body language, like, what's it called, represents how they actually feel, like, from different reasons. You know what I mean? Or even just like, people have different, what's it called, diagnoses that like, body language is not their strongest, you know, whatever. Yeah. But that also reminded me that like, if you are in a group chat with your coworker or you do have their number, even using that as a tool if that's possible, because sometimes, you know, it is easier to talk with that way. Mm-hmm. Or just to have record too that like, I literally told you, be quiet.
Especially with work.
Next up, our next submission is as follows. I'm trying to decide when I should break up with this man.
Now.
So I've been seeing him for a while, 3 years. We've talked about marriage and children, and I was all in before, but I'm just not sure that he's the one anymore. So I had planned to do it some months ago, but that day he got into a car accident. Very minor, but still. And that just didn't feel right. So I waited a while, and then his sister got engaged, and he started talking about that's going to be us soon, and the whole family joined in, so I got nervous. A few weeks ago, I got the courage again and went to dinner at his parents', and his mom announced, trigger warning, illness, that she has breast cancer and that she's starting chemo. He's talking about you're my rock and I couldn't do this without you, and I'm literally so stressed and don't really want to be in this relationship anymore. But it doesn't feel right to tell him now, but I'm afraid he'll propose soon, especially with what his mom was going through. Please help.
Please help. Yeah. Anybody want to go? Anybody want to go first?
You gotta break up with him. Like,
look, even Momo's stressing out in the bed.
You gotta break up with him because it's like your heart's not in it and you're just like living a lie and you're feeding this person a lie. Like, there's never a good time to break up with somebody, but like, you gotta do it. Damn, I wanna be you. I'm not laughing at you.
Yeah, if you have that feeling, do it ASAP. I know there's a lot of difficulty bringing that up in different situations and different family dynamics. So do what's safe for you, and you would know your own relationship best. But speak up when you really know you're not in it, because then the other person's just being dragged along. You should really just communicate it up front in whatever capacity that you have.
You've been wanting to break up with this person for a long time. You need to break up with this person, and especially it seems like they're really in love with you or whatever. They see the future with you. This thing with their mom is happening. So before they're even getting more emotionally involved with you and continue to build this future with you in it, just cut them off. Just break up with them. And it's gonna hurt for them, but it's better in the long run, because the longer you wait, the more feelings grow. They're gonna start thinking about babies, dogs, house, gate, picking out cars, gardens. Cut it now.
Wedding.
Just let them know. Just let them know. It's better for the both of y'all, because then you can still be friends or cordial or whatever it is, and still be support without feeling like you're being imprisoned in a relationship you don't want to be in. Mm-hmm. And a liar. Do you want to be a liar? Because that's what you are, a liar, if you stay in this relationship.
Lying to yourself, especially.
They finna report our account.
I feel like you should definitely break up with bro expeditiously. If this is how you feel, DH gave this shit. It's gone. It's done.
You gotta be Amazon Prime.
I feel like you should end this relationship as soon as possible. If this is how you're feeling right now, and all these things are going on, and you've been feeling this for a while, it's not gonna go away. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to him, especially as he has a lot going on. He'll get through it, he will be okay. Even though you guys have been together for 3 years, like, it's still just a relationship, you know what I'm saying? He'll be able to deal with, whatever happens to his mom and etc. But I think that you should do that sooner rather than later, because, God forbid something happens, or, the worst happens, and then you may not know that happens, and, situation A happens, and then you guys break up, and now that's so much more for him to process and deal with at the same time. So yeah, you get out.
Don't let him keep you from your husband.
Exactly.
When you hear
There's
this,
always better out there.
yes.
What did Ariana say? Thank you, next.
Yeah. When you hear this episode,
Did I really just call Ariana Grande?
when you hear this episode, however you want to break up with that person, start that journey and process now. Like, just start it now. You can break up with them whenever, but start actually being in the process of breaking up with them when you hear this.
Also, I don't know, you've been lying for a minute. Maybe you should get some funds together and pay for his therapy, because it's kind of, you know what I'm saying?
I don't agree. I feel like that ain't got nothing to do with you.
They said that they've been together for 3 years, but I don't know how long it said that they were, the person that submitted this has been feeling. They said they've been together for 3 years, but I don't know if they've been feeling like that the whole time.
True. Cut that part out.
No, we gonna keep it in.
Can you cut out the part where I said pushing pussy?
No, we're keeping it. I heard it. You whispered it.
All right.
Next dilemma. Dilemma is spelled.
Cut out the snort. Please.
All right. Do y'all want another boyfriend question?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay. We'll get into this one. Okay. Next submission is I need help. It's a lot.
Y'all keep saying I need help. Please help me. I think you got your answer. Whatever on top of your
Bro, if you have to come to niggas like us, you too far gone. You way too far gone. It's all for you.
What do you mean you're way too far
kidding.
gone?
Just kidding.
Get a therapist
wait.
and
It
then,
says,
listen
I
to
need help.
this.
It's a lot. All my boyfriend does is complain about people, money, missed opportunities, himself, etc.
A bomb.
Downer. He's a downer.
A bomb. Missed opportunities.
I try really hard to support him when he needs real help, but it's like he prefers complaining even when the solution is right there.
Cause you can't
It's
raise
frustrating now,
no
mainly
man.
because I feel like the energy is not reciprocated when I'm going through a problem and need to vent or need real help. Unless I ask explicitly, he's not one to offer aid. And even though it can seem like he's not happy or fully willing.
Philly.
We've been together for a little over a year, but it wasn't until recently that we started getting to see each other more often since we moved closer to each other, which is why I'm now noticing these things. The same things he was complaining about last year is what he's complaining about now.
Boo.
Money, but he hasn't taken any advice on changing spending habits or pursuing opportunities that will pay him more. It's almost like he expects things to happen for him and is mad at others when they don't. I can't even share good news with him because he'll start self-deprecating and
Is
I'll
he
feel
white?
guilty for working hard. We've both dealt with mental health issues growing up and now, but I don't know how to help anymore, especially because he insists his mental health isn't the problem anymore. What do I do?
Break up. I feel like since you came to us, you already knew the answer. You knew it's time. If a man has ever, if this is for every submission that we haven't read, if a man has you posting on our board, break up with him.
He got you anonymously messaging people. So you gotta take time out of your day to vent. Nah, they gotta go. Just kidding. But on the real, okay, I'm gonna sympathize with him first. I understand what it feels like to just feel stagnant.
Yeah.
To just like literally just feel like you don't know where to go, like you don't know what to do. Things just like, no matter what, just do not look up for you. Mm-hmm. But I feel him on that part. And I know that's tough. I don't know why he said his mental health is not an issue. Maybe he feels like his like extreme mental crisis is not an issue. But like if you're going through all this stuff like and you're complaining, you're not in good mental health because obviously like you're struggling somewhere. So that's my sympathy for him. But as a person, I too relate with you because I do not, as pessimistic as I am, I hate people that don't do something about the problem that they have. Like, you're constantly complaining about it, and I love complaining, but I complain with an action. I'm gonna complain about something, but I'm about to be working on it at the same time. So therefore, I can't complain because I'm dealing with it. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, it's and you said you've been dating for a little over a year, so I think it just tells, relationships, the more closer you get, the more you learn about a person. And if you don't like them, then
Skedaddle.
You're not forced to, stay with every person you have interest in. So you just learn that you don't like this person and you don't like their personality, and it's only been a little over a year, so it ain't nothing to cut that bitch off.
Get out earlier.
Yes.
Get out now, yeah, because, I don't know, they're probably keeping you back, keeping you down, and they're not supporting you. You are not this man's therapist.
Or his mom.
Or his mama. So, yeah, like, if it's not reciprocating, like, just cut him off. Like, cut him off. Bummy.
I think, yeah, it sounds like, especially since you guys have been together for a year and you said that you guys have been spending more time together, you're like, okay, now you can see more, like, layers of this person. It sounds like you guys have, like a core value or, like, like, a fundamental issue. Like, I'm the type of person that, you know, if something, you sound a little bit more proactive than your nigga is, and that's, like, a core, that's an important thing. So if, you know, bro's been complaining and you said that he's in the same place this year as he was last year and nigga don't know how to spend his money and whatever, yeah, I would say just end the relationship. Like, it's okay for relationships to end their course and just, you know, you spend time with a person and then you move a little closer to him and you found out he's still broke a year later. It's okay to just end the relationship, you know? Peace and love. Yeah.
As someone who has been down bad lots of times financially without any support, like hearing that kind of triggered me a lot, especially like with relationships personally, because I've been through a few that have been really hard. So I feel like it's really hard for me to speak on this topic. But that's all I'm going to say.
This low-key remind me of Issa Rae and Terrence.
I was thinking that. What's it?
Lawrence. Issa and Lawrence, because Lawrence, but they were both in like.
They were together for a minute though.
They were together for 5 years.
Yeah.
I love that show, but I don't even know the timestamp. But they were together for 5 years. They were both in similar situations, like down bad, broke, living together. But she was broke, but working and like trying to get out of her situation and trying to, you know, make her dreams come true. Whereas he was broke and, you know, he was depressed and he was down bad. But like, I think there's like type A, type B people, or like, you know, it's a core value of like, when I'm stressed, this is how I move. And if the person you're with that is affecting you in a negative way, then I think for your own safety or your own health, whatever, you gotta do what's best for you. But they ended up, okay, not that this would happen in your situation, but who knows? But he did end up getting his bread. She got her bread. They ended up back together. So
this might be the motivation to get this nigga shit together.
Oh, break up with him so he can get it together. Actually, no. This is literally a tangent. This is a side conversation.
But it's also just important to have a partner that's like supportive. Like bare minimum, that you should be supportive. If you can't be supportive, like financially or like materialistically,
at least check up on me. And that was the issue in Issa Rae. Like, she would check up on him, bring him food, all this other stuff, and he would not check up on her at all. Just real. But yeah, I think you have to literally like do what's, especially if you're young. Like we're fucking young, so I imagine the person saying this is young. Like, these are really fundamental years, and you can, you know, do this when you're 35, 40. But when you have the freedom, the time, the youth to like
the energy,
like you really need to be preserving that. So yeah.
Also, sorry, you go first.
I was gonna say also mainly it's okay to be down bad in a relationship. No one's asking you to come like 100% in every like level all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's okay, but it's lack of reciprocation. That's the death of the relationship in itself. Yeah, emotionally, if bro can't be there for you, like he's not there for himself right now. That's okay. Everybody has hardships, but like
in this economy,
you know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Drop him. Nigga can't even be there for you. It's okay. Like, you're not asking for much.
Yeah.
Like, just check in on me. If he can't even do that, it doesn't matter what stage of life he's in. If he can't do it now, he's definitely not going to be able to do it. When
also, I feel like there's definite. Oh, I'm sorry, Van.
No, I'm good. I was stuttering. I'm good.
My last thing is, it's like also like I feel very like women were also just socialized to like take care of men, so that's why I'm a little like strong and like, you know, like find what's better for you, just because like women were always just like conditioned to like, you know, be there when like bro down and out, and then they leave you for a white girl. Sorry. We should. That's exact. I was thinking that, but then she left him for a white man. I don't know what Pete Davidson is actually.
He white.
He might be a little
spicy white.
But he's white. He's
spicy white.
He identifies as white.
But no.
You go. Okay. I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say? I mean, you go, because I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. I went on that weird rant, but like that's the only reason why I felt like so strong to like be like, oh, like leave him if he's like down and out and not like supporting you, just because like women, like we will stay with men who literally like ain't got shit going on with them, and just waste our potential.
Yeah, that is not your responsibility. I was gonna say, to round it up, all those things that he's going through, everything, like the fact that he is not emotionally supporting you and checking up on you is the what's it called, the last straw. Like that's it. Like everybody can be broke, like you can go through tough times, you can be down bad, all this other stuff, but the fact that you can't even simply be like, yo, I'm not having a good time, but like, you know, I haven't asked you how you're doing in a minute or how you doing, just like that, like he should not be in a relationship, because like you can't do the bare minimum, which is like be present, be human to someone, you know, at least even be a friend to the person you're dating. You know, you can be fucking down bad, but it seems like he's not even being a decent person to you, so it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Let him get his shit together, and if you link up at the club in 2024, then let that be it. But for now, he needs his alone time. Yeah, he needs to be by himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Retweet. And it is as follows. I'm a little socially awkward and don't pick up on signs very well. One of my coworkers is really fine, and I've had a crush on him since my first day. I've been working there for 3 months now. I told my work bestie about it, and she thinks he likes me too, but I'm just not sure. Here's what she says. Whenever he works with me, he'll do all the little things that I hate to do. We work at Dunkin' Donuts. For the last month or so, he's been offering to take me home anytime. We work a late shift together, and the last time he said he could pick me up too if I needed. Like I said, we work at Dunkin', but I don't really like their coffee, so he brought me Starbucks once in the morning.
I love.
Anyways, these all seem really nice and sweet, and I appreciate it, but they also feel friendly, and I don't want to push the dynamic and change our friendship. I'm also not the type to shoot my shot, but I don't know if he will.
Shoot your shot if you want it, but I will never again chase a man. Did it once, never again. If you know what you want, like, talk about it, and, you know, if you don't feel ready to talk about it, that's okay. But again, like, setting that boundary, if you're like, I don't know where to, like, set the boundary. Like, okay, are we just going to be coworkers, or are we going to be friends more? Because this has me, like, in 2 different spots, so communicate in the best of your ability.
What does Van always say?
Closed mouths don't get fed. What were you going to say?
I said closed mouths don't get you fed.
You were close.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
I do always say that.
You have like
Just say it. Say it with your fucking chest. Oh my god, this is on YouTube? Cancel out the fuck. Say it with your chest.
Were you going to say something?
That was all I had to say.
I was going to say, what I'm learning as I'm getting older is, like, you know, when people say, like, the worst they can say is no, it's like, honestly, people can say much worse things.
I was about to say, they could be like,
ew. People can say much worse things.
They could be
but it's
so
like,
mean.
especially when you're in, first of all, you said day 1, and you've been working there 3 months. Girl, I know you was out working just giddy. I know you would wake up early to work. Pick out your work outfit. Like, I'm gonna see her today. Because I know. But I would honestly, I think you need to shoot your shot, because y'all have jobs, so y'all are grown adults. Just, even not shoot your shot, I'm not gonna call it shoot your shot. It seems like y'all be hanging out sometimes, so just like bring it up. And what I've learned, most people are cool, calm, casual, whatever. If he doesn't like you, and then stops doing what he does, then he's weird. He's weird.
He brought you coffee.
And all those things were not genuine. But if he doesn't like you and he does continue that, then you've gained a really good friend. If he does like you, then maybe y'all should work at Starbucks. Get together and then get promoted to Starbucks.
Is Dunkin's that bad?
I have only been to Dunkin's maybe once. One thing about me, I'm just a hater. When I like something else, I just like to hate on what's already being hated on. So, you know, Dunkin' just gives off like, No one talks about you. No one brings Dunkin' to the party.
Dunkin' Donuts. Fucking hard ass donuts. We only eat Krispy Kremes around here, nigga.
You know, no one says, "Hey, I'm going to Dunkin'. What would y'all like?" So, I just hate on Dunkin' just to
Valid.
just to be a part of the community. Yeah, just to hate.
To be part of a collective.
Yeah, but shoot your shot. Ooh, and he bringing you free Starbucks. You got it good.
Starbies.
You got it so good.
Really good. Slay the house boots down. So our final question is about boundaries, and it says, where should I start with boundary setting? I've been trying to set boundaries recently, but I've been having a lot of trouble upholding them. Firstly, I have a hard time communicating them. I don't want people to be offended or upset by the boundaries that I set. I also have a hard time sticking to them because other people try to push them, and when that happens, I feel like they must not be valid, because if someone who says that they care about me won't respect me or my boundaries, then there must be a reason why. Any advice on how to set boundaries and stick to them? Oh, I was gonna say I'll start. I just saw something recently, and I feel like it's been circulating a little bit online, but it was talking about boundary setting and how boundaries aren't like, this is what you need to do to be in my life or something like that, but it was more so like, it said something along the lines of, these are my boundaries and I don't allow people to speak to me like this, you know? Not don't talk to me like that, but I'm not gonna put up with this. This is a boundary of mine and you're not gonna be in my life, period. You know, something along those lines. But I feel like setting boundaries and sticking to them is directly related to, I would say, like self-worth and like self-respect, because it doesn't matter what another person thinks of you or how they value you or anything like that. Like, you have to put yourself first, and your comfortability and your boundaries and, you know, your respect for yourself, to put yourself on that higher level of like, this person doesn't respect me, they're treating me in a way that I don't want to be treated. Why are they treating me like that? Why do I deserve that? Like, no, I deserve better than this. I'm gonna take myself out of this situation, instead of like questioning why this person is doing these things to me. Like, no, fuck you, nigga. I'm not gonna deal with that because I love myself. Like, bitch, why are you talking to me like that? So I feel like setting boundaries starts with like valuing yourself and seeing yourself in a higher light, where you think and believe that your boundaries deserve to be respected and they're valid. So I would say that's a good place to start, is instead of asking like, if someone who, you know, says they care for me treats me in a way, this must mean that, you know, these boundaries are valid. They are valid, and you are valid as a person, and what you think and what you say is important, and you matter. So you matter. So yeah, I think that you should maybe start with like kind of questioning those internal thoughts that come up, like, oh, why are these people treating me like this? Or, you know, is this not valid? And, you know, really put yourself first. And I think that's the first step to not having people follow your boundaries, but like setting boundaries and removing yourself from situations when they're not respected.
On topics of setting boundaries, like if you know yourself well enough, it's like, damn, this is something I've never been taught. Like talking to the right people about it and not keeping it all in your head. And obviously you can ask a lot of different people for different advice, but everyone's gonna look at you through their own perspective of their lens. They're never gonna really understand your full story other than you. That's why I always say, like, you know yourself best and your self-coping mechanisms best. But like when it comes to boundaries, it's definitely something that you can learn over time, or maybe it's something that you already know. But I think like talking with people is really good, instead of, you know, kind of dwelling on like fighting your inner monologue if this is right or wrong, and really letting yourself know what you need and want. And if that's something that you struggle with, you know, it's always really cool to write it down. I love writing and just like jotting everything down, and then like taking a week or two to reflect on it, and then come back to see how I felt on it, because sometimes the way you feel in that instant is not a true reflection of who you really are, right? Like we all experience so many different emotions and to different capacities, but when it comes to setting boundaries, you really have to know like what you want, and that's only a question that you can answer yourself. It's not something that someone else can do for you. And that's why I really love therapy, because it's not like you show up to a session and someone just fixes all your problems. You have to take the accountability in your own hands to grow and learn. And sometimes when it comes with boundaries or setting boundaries, like say with family members or really close friends, there's different ranges of how difficult it can be personally to you. You know, it could be really easy for, like, for example, me, I know how to communicate my feelings. But like personally, I have to really take some more time to self-reflect before sharing those feelings. And that's just something that I'm personally learning, right? When it comes with, when I learn how to communicate my boundaries with certain people and when I feel ready to do so. Because it shouldn't be a rush. And you should be able to feel safe when you want to talk about your feelings. And if you don't feel safe in a certain moment, that's okay. And just learning other ways that are good outlets for yourself is really key, that I think is in boundary setting. And it ties into emotional regulation, like learning your emotions and like how they feel in your body. Like when I get really anxious, I feel it all over my body, and I know myself, I just need a few minutes to breathe. So I will walk away and I will close myself off. I'll do some breathing exercises because I know my own self boundaries so well. But other people may or may not know their own boundaries, and if they don't communicate that, how are you supposed to know, right? And so someone communicates that. And just being okay with the fact that maybe someone hasn't communicated something yet, and just going with the ebb and the flow, especially to what degree this relationship means to you, honestly. And that's all I have to say on that.
Welcome back. I was gonna say I really fuck with you just because I can relate to this. Like, I was never taught about boundaries. I'm West African. Like, I don't know if boundaries really exist. But yeah, I suck at setting boundaries. And then last week I learned about hard and soft boundaries, and I have nothing but hard boundaries because I was never taught boundaries. I was just taught to be like disrespect or no disrespect, and like if you disrespect me, then it's just like.
Can you explain hard and soft?
Well, hard is like when Van was saying earlier, like hard is like my thing is like, let's say my boundary is I hate being interrupted, right? And let's say you are constantly interrupting me, instead of me being like, all right, can you not interrupting me more? Like, you know, it's like a boundary for me. Can you try harder? It's more like, oh, this bitch keep interrupting me. Okay, bet. Like, she's done for it. Like, she's dead. She's dead. Like, she ain't gotta get it. And that's how that's how I operate. And like, no offense, I will honestly continue to operate like that because
I feel that.
Because I'm very lenient, but I'm just like, I don't know. My boundaries are kind of aligned with my core values, so it's just like, it's no point in me budging it because I'm just like, it's gonna tick me off. But one thing that's helped me is just like affirming the fact that like everybody needs boundaries and everybody has boundaries, and you know, it's kind of like a requirement in life. Like, you think you can get away with not having boundaries or being, you know, flexible, but like, you know, you really need boundaries. Yeah, and there really are no, in my opinion, there really are no bad boundaries, because boundaries are there to like make you comfortable and, you know, make life easy for you. So I think just set them, and then also just maybe be mindful of which boundaries you have with which people and why. And I feel like that helps you kind of know, I don't know, it kind of helps knowing that like, oh, this is a boundary I have with this person because of this reason, or this is a boundary I have with everyone because of this reason. Yeah, but like I said, I fuck with you because we're kind of in the same position. I'm learning how to set boundaries or soft boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of hard boundaries now that you said that, because I be like, I ain't finna fuck with you no more. Like,
That was it. It was that's
but
all
it's like when you love people, you don't want to like, you know, just like cut it.
I don't know how to set boundaries with people. I really want to stay in my life.
Yeah, it takes some time. Like for me, when I started like doing boundary work, it was more like really hard boundaries, just because like I needed to do that to put me in like a safe situation, and even putting like hard boundaries in place is like really hard. But it takes like time and like giving yourself grace as well. Like you can't operate in these like situations anymore, like where your boundaries are constantly being like, yeah, because like just think about like what that's doing to like your nervous system and stuff like that, and then like your perception, just like with people, because not everybody's gonna treat you that way. Yeah, but sitting down with yourself, trying to figure out like what's really not okay. I really liked how you said like, you know, with some people and then just like with all people, because you have different relationships with people, like you said. So yeah, I think that's my advice. Give yourself grace, but also like sit down, be real with yourself and be like, what are things like I just absolutely cannot accept? And then like look at each relationship you have with like, you know, your family, your friends, your partner, and like figure out like, are these even healthy relationships and things like that? Like, do I have healthy boundaries with these people? Do they have healthy boundaries with me? Yeah, that's my thing.
I was gonna say, just also to practice too, like going along with giving yourself grace, to practice setting boundaries and maybe setting like hard boundaries or soft, and just practice, you know, like if I say no to this, and then just like sensing how that feels, and you know, it's kind of like not a game, but you know, there is no right or wrong way to do it, and no end all be all. So practice.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important, like practicing it and doing it over again, because as you're learning, like no one's going to learn something and get it right the first session. Like with any, like if you think of like a skill, like there's some people that could just draw and then like, damn, I just got it, right? But obviously if you weren't taught it, you know, it's a learning lesson. And I really liked what you said about like, taking perspectives, like different relationships and like how people are treating you after you've already set your boundary, and then learning how to navigate that. And especially like I feel like when I'm talking with boundaries, especially with people I love, and personally I like to do it face to face, like asking questions and being really an active listener is so important. Give me one moment, because I had this thought at the tip of my tongue. Like one, talking with someone, if you like feel like, you know, like, oh, something's just not right, and you're like trying to figure out what boundary to set with this person, I think like saying like, hey, I need space is really, really good, and like knowing what you need first before being able to set that boundary. And then like also with like, for example, your friends, you're trying to have like a conversation with your friend, and it could be about anything, right? Like let's say you're sick and tired of hearing about this certain topic, say that, because the other person may not know that, and they might see you as a place to talk to, like you're my friend. And if you're not the place to come talk to, that's really cool. Like I respect that boundary, but sometimes people just literally don't know until you say it. And I guess, you know, like I keep saying like face to face, like do whatever to your capacity that you're able to talk about this boundary that's really upsetting you internally. And one note that I really wanted to note is like not taking the reaction into account when you're setting your boundary, because someone else's feelings are gonna jump out no matter what you say for the boundary, especially if it's something new. And a lot of the times we react with our first emotion, which isn't always the way we actually feel when we like take some time to sit and think about the situation and reflect to set our own boundaries to make ourselves more comfortable. And just a reminder that the boundary is for you. It's not for somebody else. It's for you to be able to feel comfortable in whatever space you go into. So if you know a certain space you're just not going to feel good in as soon as you go in, don't go there. And then if you do, take some time to reflect why you put yourself in that situation if you already knew you're going to feel uncomfortable. So taking the time to reflect on those boundaries and really think about like what you want. And like, it's not a timeline. Like I'm rushing to figure out my boundaries, because like throughout your whole life, you're going to have different relationships, and there are going to be different boundaries to be had, and different people with different lived experiences. So you always have to keep that in consideration, because a lot of people can talk really vulnerably. Like for example, I can talk really vulnerably about things that certain topics, right? And there are certain things that I literally have not told my closest friends ever. And it's just a conversation between me and my therapist until I feel ready to bring up this certain trigger or certain topic. It's not about the people around you. It's about you when you're setting those boundaries, and then learning how to navigate those relationships after you set, like say your boundaries, and giving yourself time and grace to really fill that in, but also for the other person. Like, okay, we had this conversation about setting boundaries. Like, let's think about it. Let's follow up. If that's the kind of person you are. I'm definitely a person that's like, tune into your own needs, and do whatever you can to your best capability.
The last thing that I'll say on that is just specifically addressing the part where the submission said, where was it? Yeah, the person who submitted it.
No, I'm saying the part where they're like.
Oh yeah, it was specifically addressing the part of if someone who says they care about me won't respect them, there must be a reason why. Especially if you are having trouble with boundary setting, not with just like across the board, like, oh, at work, or, something like that. If it is someone that you care about, make sure you communicate that to them, whatever it is that is on your mind or anything like that, in the best way that, feels comfortable for you or that you know how. Because if it's someone that, you share love with, or, you think it's mutual, you guys care for each other, I don't know, maybe something's going on, or maybe there's something maybe deeper than fuck you, bitch. I don't give a fuck about what you have to say, because like we care about each other.
Yeah.
So maybe just do a check-in and just be. I would say curiosity and being inquisitive can help a lot of situations, interpersonal relationships specifically. But yeah, I would just say be a little curious and make sure that you communicate like the things that you've been doing or these actions have hurt me in these ways. Make sure that they know. So then once you have that conversation, you can go from there instead of just kind of internally holding on to what it is that's been upsetting you. Yeah.
Okay, last thing, because when you brought that up, that reminded me, there are certain relationships where you may be forced or obligated to be around this person all the time. Mm-hmm. And some people, depending on how they're raised, culture, whatever it is, XYZ reasons, they don't understand some boundaries, or it's not clicking for them. And for me, I give myself permission to be disrespectful, to be honest, because it's kind of like a, I don't know, 3-strike rule, or just in the sense of like, okay, this person really isn't just, they, like, this is who they are, and this is who I am, and this boundary right here, this boundary that I have, they just do not connect with it. They just cannot resonate with it. It's not clicking. And so like, yeah, just give yourself permission to whatever way you need to cope with that, whether it's ignoring them, telling them to fuck off, whatever it is, like you do that, because obviously they're not respecting your boundary. You don't have to respect what the fuck they saying. So
radical acceptance.
Literally.
Don't tell them fuck you unless you want to, but yeah. You just do what you gotta do. Mm-hmm. Do you want it? How do you feel?
Damn, who sing that song?
Sing it. I don't know.
I know the words. Okay, I want to end. Damn, I had a dilemma though.
What's your dilemma?
Let's talk about your dilemma. Let's make some time.
Because I was gonna say, I really do struggle with boundaries. Like I really do, and we don't have to answer this in the podcast, But I really do struggle with boundaries, because like, I don't know.
Like saying no to things, saying no to friends or projects, or like.
I think for me, because of the certain like, I guess experiences I had with people growing up, like I had a very black and white experience of like, wait, there's good people and there's bad people, and usually I wouldn't say that, but like just to make this simple, I will. And I was like, you don't ever have to deal with bad people, you know what I mean? Like I don't ever have to. I've learned that you're kind of forced to deal with bad people, you know what I mean? Like I don't ever pick to be around bad people. Mm-hmm. But this goes to this kind of I guess seeps into the relationships that I build, because then when people start being people I don't like, going back to the hard boundary thing, I don't know how to be like, because I'm just like, wait, I don't have to be here. Like, I don't have to. I don't like being here. I don't have to be here. But yeah, I don't know if y'all want to talk about, I guess, when people grow and change, and your boundaries have to shift, because maybe before I never had to set boundaries because they were never disrespecting no boundaries. But now I'm like, oh wait, this person is,
I feel like that has a lot to do with if you feel like the relationship is something that you want to keep, or if it's worth fighting for, Like, you don't fight for anything? That's another thing, Everything, I don't know, not everything is relative, but some things are. But I definitely hear you, like, bitch, I don't actually have to be here right now, and I don't have to deal with this, so I'm not gonna deal with it. But with other things, it's like, okay, but like, I kind of like you though, so like, but I hear you, but I feel like it just comes down to like discernment of like, this is a really serious situation and you really had me fucked up, past the point of no return. Okay, cool, discarded. But I feel like there's a spectrum of like things that are worth talking about, or whatever, and then things that are like, yeah, no, like you bad for business.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I would just say
Business.
you have to maybe be a little more selective, and just try to not like rate the relationship or the person or the situation, but if it's something that you genuinely enjoy and like, and if you're willing to have a conversation or do the work. I hate saying do the work. Do the fucking work. That's what I'm saying.
I say why? See, that's the thing, going back to where I started. Like, I see black wives, I'm like, I see work. I don't want to do work. So therefore,
Growth can be uncomfy. Changing your normal ways. That's a lot to say. You know that.
Yeah.
Period.
So
That's a start.
Are there any? Did you have something to say?
I did, but I didn't want to let I didn't want to intervene. Do you have anything to say, Jiggy? I don't know who you're pointing at.
My last question was, are there any boundaries either you had or didn't have that you then got or didn't, but then you switched, that you might be like reconsidering again?
Okay.
I didn't understand it phrased that way. One more time.
Okay, I'll just give an example. Like, let's say, is there a boundary you had that you let go of? You're like, oh wait, this might be too much of a boundary or too hard of a boundary, and then you kind of change your mind, and vice versa. Is there a boundary you never had that you got, and then you're like, oh wait, no, I think I want to retract this?
Can I take the mic?
Sorry, I was thinking.
Don't be sorry. It's okay to process. I see that as someone who's an overly apologetic person. I'm trying really hard. Change. It's something that's really hard for me, especially if it's something that you were raised on, especially like a lot of our psychological responses are due to the way that we were raised, and learning how to unpack that.
Are you talking about boundaries?
I'm talking about boundaries. Sorry, let me just get to the point then. I need a moment to think then.
I feel like, so is your question like, did I have this hard boundary with some people and then I'm like, nah, it's too hard, I'm not keeping it up?
Either with people or just in general.
I feel like I don't realize it like in the moment. So like for me, like people have to talk to me a certain way, or it's like, I'm not gonna talk to you or whatever. So like when I was like, real down bad in life, I would let people talk to me like however. So I feel like that's where I've like struggled a lot. And I try to be really firm in that boundary now, like, cause I don't speak to nobody like really disrespectfully or anything like that. So you shouldn't do that to me. Plus I'm gonna punch you in your jaw. Like, I don't feel like y'all gonna hit, you know what I'm saying? So like that's where I feel, and it's really hard for me to communicate those boundaries with people because like I think he said something about like growing and like friendships and something like that. Like I've had friends since like high school, and it's really hard to like initiate those boundaries, like because you've been friends like for such a long time, and it's like a new change. And when you have those like long-term relationships, it's like hard to like do that.
Set in like a way.
Yeah.
Add something new or switch up the plan, the game plan. It's like it reminds you, or it reminds me, I guess, of like instability.
Yeah.
And that's scary. Nobody wants that.
It's scary. I feel like it's a good scary though, because like it's testing to see if like this relationship's gonna work out, because it's like it took me a while to learn that like you can tell people how to love you. Like I was told like you can't tell people how to like love you, and like that was really bad.
How are you supposed to know?
Exactly. Crazy people. So like it's okay if like you love me, but like you talking to me wild, like that's cool. You can love me from afar. But yeah, I struggle with like them hard, soft boundaries, because for me, I was like, oh, if they like cross this boundary, they're gonna do it again and again, and we ain't got time for that. I'm not gonna do that. So I don't know if I answered your question. Oh, okay.
Perfect.
To piggyback off that, if I can, I really relate to that and really like that, because like as relationships grow over time, people change over time. We're human beings, and I'm sorry, I'm not the same person I was in high school. I'm not the same person I was like 2 years ago, and your boundaries are allowed to evolve with you. It, you know, just like if you had a certain mindset back then, but then you learned something new, now you can set a certain boundary for, you know, your present day self and what you're comfortable with now. A lot of things that I'm used to be comfortable with, like Jiggy was saying, like a lot of people had me really, really fucked up, and I had to like literally say it to their face for them to get it, because a lot of things, I'm like, something's not clicking for you. So I've repeated myself a lot of times. I've done this, I've done X, Y, and Z, and now I'm gonna take away my presence, because I've already communicated it how many times, and I see my time as a gift. Honestly, like I have so many things going on, and if I make time to speak with you or talk with you, you're someone who's really important to me. Personally, that's just how I feel. And just like taking back your space or your energy if you feel like this person, you know, you really want them in your life long term, giving yourself the capacity to step back. And even you don't have to communicate that or not, because I think it's really important to know, like as adults in friendships, that like we're not always going to be available ASAP Rocky. And this is something that I'm still learning. Like all these things I'm saying, I am learning myself. That was my note.
That reminds me of a quote. The price. What did you say? Shut up. No, nigga, no.
Her purse was black.
Sorry. Her ears were cut off.
That's what it was.
Not Dexter.
I want to be saying, I want to. The quote was, the price today is not the same price as it was yesterday.
Price of the brick going up.
Inflation? You think I cost? My time and present cost so much more. Do you?
Ooh, sorry. Another boundary that I realized that I be letting go all the time is time. Like, I feel like something in yoga we've been learning is like the only thing we really have from, like, we would just be stealing time from each other. Like when you're late, like when you don't show up, like when you don't show up to work, like ready to work. Like I do not be showing up to my meetings at work ready. Like I be wasting these things. Just kidding. HR. I show up and not show out.
It's a jokey joke.
A little jokey joke, but that's something that I'm like learning more about, just because like in my yoga class, like we talked about it and it had like me look at things different. When people like, yeah, that's just like one of the boundaries like I'm working on. Like it's just like time, because like
Same.
because my time is important and like other people's times is important as well.
Yeah, respecting other people's times to your best capability and like communicating that.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this episode. I had so much fun recording this and reading all the submissions. Yeah. We still have a lot more to go, so look forward to our next couple videos. If you submitted something or you enjoyed this one.
And send in more submissions.
Yeah.
And send them to your friends, your mom. Your mom might have something to get off her chest.
Yeah, the link is still in our bio at To Keep It a Buck on our Instagram, and it's in like my personal bio at probably everyone else. Yeah, it's still up. So if you liked what we did today, maybe send in something this upcoming week because shit should be popping off. It's the beginning of the week. Recording on a Monday. You never know what could happen. You never know.
Comment, like, subscribe, and share. Yeah.
Right. Be like this.
Thanks,
Pay
guys.
Just kidding.
We're going to be. We trying to be Jada Wayne with this shit. Come on.
Who's trying to fly us out? I'm sorry.
Shout out Momo. Shout out Momo.
Hasta la
Shout out
pasta.
Momo. Shout out everybody.
Without Momo, because he been recording all of them and what's it called? Editing all of them.
Behind the
shout
scenes.
out to Momo. He saved the day.
Thank you, Momo.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.